Where do we go from here? The election for governor is just a bit more than 200 days away right now. Who will be on the ballot in the number 2 slot? Fox Buffalo's Olivia Dance continues our team coverage. She's live in the studio right now.
Well, Michael, I spoke with a local political science professor who tells me that the timing of Brian Benjamin's resignation creates challenges for Governor Hochul, and the answer to what happens next is not simple. Governor Kathy Hochul once again finds herself surrounded by scandal.
She has not a lot of great options right now, given the timing of this.
On Tuesday, her former Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin resigned after being arrested in a campaign finance fraud allegation.
The problem that she is facing is that the time frame that Brian Benjamin could decline the party designation has expired.
Shawn Donahue, an assistant professor of political science at the University at Buffalo, says the Democratic committee already designated Benjamin to be on the primary election ballot. The window for him to decline that nomination has closed.
Best case scenario for Governor Hochul is that Benjamin does something to make sure that he's no longer on the ballot, and courts uphold it. She's able to designate somebody else that she wants to be the lieutenant governor, and that person is on the ballot.
It's possible Benjamin could be removed from the primary ballot if he became ineligible by moving out of state. Another possibility would be if he ran for another office.
The thing about trying to have Mr. Benjamin either run for another office or move to another state is that would require his cooperation to do so. I think right now he probably has a lot of other things that he's worried about other than being removed from the ticket.
Since having him removed from the primary ballot is difficult, it's possible the governor will have to run with him on the ballot and try to find a way to get him removed before the November election. Another possibility is she could also put her support behind one of the other candidates for lieutenant governor.
Or another potential possibility is that remain with Benjamin on the ticket in November, with the understanding that Benjamin will not serve as the lieutenant governor, and this is who I've appointed, and this is who the person that will be lieutenant governor.
Now, getting Benjamin off the ballot would be the biggest challenge, but at any time, Governor Hochul can name someone else to replace him and take on the position of lieutenant governor through the rest of the term. But in the meantime, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, majority leader of the state Senate, is essentially filling the role of lieutenant governor. Reporting live in the studio, I'm Olivia Dance.
Boy, I listen to that and it all sounds like such a gigantic headache, that's for sure. I'm wondering, Olivia, if your expert thought that the governor might lean one way or the other when it comes to those options you laid out.
Great question, Michael. And no, he has no idea. There are so many possibilities and outcomes that could come. So honestly, we're all just going to have to wait and see. He had no idea of which way the governor could lean.
It's New York State politics. Do any of us have any idea? Olivia, thank you.
Major step forward in the I-81 replacement plan today. Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy. The State Department of Transportation has finished its environmental impact report on the community grid plan. For the first time, we have it in writing. New York State is replacing the I-81 viaduct with the community grid option after years of public comment and debate. Details are in the final environmental impact report that's set to be released to the public first thing tomorrow morning. Now, the plan is to replace the stretch of the highway that runs through Syracuse with a focus on creating space for new businesses, opening up walkways for people and bike lanes, and removing the highway which physically divides the city. Our Connor White is live in Syracuse tonight with the latest after hearing with some of the leaders of the State Department of Transportation. Connor.
Matt, the plan is for this project to actually break ground this fall, all leading up to the viaduct coming down and Almond Street being expanded to 12 lanes as a community grid. But again, that comes a lot later in this multi-year project. Construction actually begins this fall elsewhere. Bidding is already underway for phase 1 of this project, set to start with revamping I-481 to take on high-speed traffic once the I-81 viaduct drops, becoming a community grid.
81 is indeed an aging relic, and it should never be, honestly, quite frankly, it shouldn't have been built in Syracuse.
Top Department of Transportation officials in Syracuse Thursday confirming the grid's future is now in writing in the final environmental impact report.
We heard a lot from the community.
A document containing DOT responses to over 8,000 public comments on the future of the highway system. Those comments not quoted directly in the report.
This is the culmination of everything we've went through. The 35 alternatives we looked at, and this is it.
There's been some changes since the first draft from last July. The roundabout to slow down traffic ahead of the grid moved to Van Buren near SU, away from Martin Luther King Elementary. The cost of the project going up to $2.25 billion, officials blaming the supply chain.
We haven't selected one contractor yet. We don't know all of the cost parameters. It's our best estimate at 2.25.
Preparing to announce next week the short list of contractors in the running to break ground on 481, still slated for fall of 2022. Beginning an estimated 6-year project that will eventually replace the 81 viaduct downtown.
And replacing it with a community grid, that's where we can truly begin to heal.
Once the environmental impact statement is released Friday morning, that'll kickstart a 30-day public comment period. But other than looking at little logistical changes to things like traffic patterns and other small additional details, there won't be much change to the community grid plan eventually coming to downtown Syracuse.
Michael, hospital mergers happen often, but they don't always go through. While Upstate has to wait for the state's approval on this plan next, I took a look at how mergers have fared in the nearby states. Upstate Hospital is looking to buy Crouse Health. It would bring Syracuse from 3 major hospital systems down to 2. Syracuse public health professor Lisa Olsen-Gugerty says it's not clear yet whether a merger will be a good or bad thing.
Are we going to close things at Crouse that we should keep open? What kind of structure will we see with the buyout?
Olsen-Gugerty says short staffing is a problem the 2 hospitals in Syracuse face right now. A merger can solve those issues.
Perhaps the pooling of resources can help alleviate these shortages.
The SU professor says merging hospitals is not unique. Hospitals in Connecticut are in the merging process now.
You wind up with the urban hospital taking over some of the aspects of the practice.
Ted Doolittle is a healthcare advocate in Connecticut. He says medical services offered and staffing is what you should worry about most with a merger.
That could wind up with folks who've been working for many years for a hospital out of a job.
Doolittle says merging hospitals can be done, but it's a challenge. And if it doesn't work, the patient is the one to suffer. A hospital merger in New Jersey was killed by a federal court just a few weeks ago after an FTC expert said it would cost patients too much.
It's very rare for mergers to result in lower prices for the community.
Doolittle suggests state lawmakers take a hard look at this pending approval and make sure patients will see whatever guarantees the state laws allow.
Keeping the prices down in terms of retaining the staff at the level they are, and in terms of making sure that the lines of service offered for the hospital don't go away.
At this point, the plan needs state approval next. And if approved, Upstate would become by far the biggest employer in the area.